Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Shouldn't we be saying testicles?
Alright, so yeah, you were talking about how you know Romola, what you take away from her story, things like that.
Okay, we're so excited about Romola's book. We've known Romola for many years. How many years?
Too many.
40 years. 40 years, probably.
I'm Joey's brother.
He's Joey's brother. Romola is married to Joey's brother. I met Romola, of course, because Romola's married to Joey's brother, but we met them when they were just dating. Or he met him before, but
And we have very many fond memories of hanging out with Romola.
Fond memories of partying, hanging out. Romola taught me how to put on my makeup because we were going out for New Year's Eve one year. And
we do a lot of camping trips with them and a lot of other stuff with them.
And their wedding was fabulous. It was the most extravagant thing I had ever seen.
To this day.
Yes, to this day. I was a little country girl from upstate New York and was invited to the wedding because I was dating Joey's brother, and it was amazing. It was at Terrace on the Park in Queens, and they had cigarette girls and all kinds of extravagant things in the little dressing rooms for the people who were in the wedding party. It was an amazing time.
We have only fond memories of Romola.
Yes. We love Romola, and we love Joey. We still love Joey. We still love Romola, even though they're not together. It would be
We
nice.
didn't divorce you. Joey did.
Right. Joey divorced Romola.
We still love you.
Exactly. And that's basically
Anything
it.
else you want to say? Or are you good?
No, we're good.
Best of luck.
My name is Ron Alvin. I am Romola's cousin. Romola's grandmother and my grandmother were sisters. And I've known Romola most of my life. My fond memories as a child was going over to Romola and her family's home in Lawrence, New York, and having some amazing summer pool parties. As a child growing up, I always looked really forward to those. We've lost touch over the years, as most cousins do. And with the advent of Facebook, we just got back in touch again. And we just picked up where we left off, and it's been a wonderful ride, and I'm so proud of her for all she's persevered through, and to come out on the other side like this, where she is today, is really a testament to the person she is, and I love her very much, and I'm looking forward to spending the next years of our lives as we've grown older, knowing her and hanging with her, now that we're kind of back together again. And I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm happy that the Hoduses are finally getting their due, and Romola is just an incredible person. And that's really all I have to say about that.
And I haven't seen her, I don't know, 30, 35 years, and we're Facebook friends, and I grew up around the corner from her, so I always heard she was the daughter of the king of porn, although I didn't really know her or the family that intimately. So when I saw she was writing a book, I'm going to launch it in New York, I'm like, oh my God, I live in the city, I'm going to have to go. And so I bought the book the day it came out, and I bought the book the day it came out, and I read it literally in 4 or 5 hours. So now I know everything that is Romola and these stories. I mean, I thought I had a torturous, I thought I'm a survivor childhood, but Romola's, if not matched it, you know, it's amazing that she's here today, normal, put together, able to tell a story with laughter and sadness, and it's just unbelievable that somebody could be brought up in that environment and with parents thinking that it's okay and appropriate. Some of the stories in that book, you know, okay, they weren't allowed to be in the orgies, but they were allowed to watch them and see what was going on. I mean, just no boundaries, and it was a different time. It was so seedy. I feel such compassion today for Romola, and I'm so proud of her. Even though we're not that close, I feel like I really know her now, and it's just crazy that we survived. She survived, and yeah, that's all I got.
Great.
Well, I know Romola a long time ago. We met when I was working at a physical therapy location, and we started going out, and that's how I met her. She was married at the time, and I encountered her husband a couple of times because of the issues between us. But then it was resolved, and we were together for a while. So I used to hang out at her Lawrence home, and it was great. It was amazing for me. You know, they had a big place, big backyard pool, and a dock with a boat, and it was a very nice location. The family life was great. Lisa, the middle child, she was really wonderful. She was really great. Rhonda was nice. She was really quiet. And Romola was amazing. She was just an amazing person to me. There was a lot of love, and the family was very loving towards me. You know, that it was amazing to be with them. I started going at a certain point. There was Marty got into the phone business. Marty Hodis got into the phone business, public phones, and I started working for him in the public phone industry, putting up payphones throughout the city, and so that was an interesting kind of side job that I did with him. He was a very strong character, very walk into a room, you feel his presence. Very authoritative kind of person. When he used to know people, he used to make jokes constantly, just constantly making jokes. And her mom was an artist, as she says, and she was very nice to me. She was a great human being. Romola actually became a lot more spiritual with me. We were I was into yoga, I was into meditation. And my whole lifestyle was geared towards nature, to health and healing. And she picked that up. And one of the main things we used to do was collect crystals, quartz crystals, and any kind of crystal elements. And at that time, we found it to be exquisite. Today is something that people do for passion.
And what are some of the lessons you think people can take away from Romola's story?
Oh, it's that she suffered a lot, and to actually be here is amazing. For her family to be here, for her sister to be here, it's amazing all they went through, all the trauma that they went through. Being with it's like being close to the sun. That's who the father was. He was like the sun, and if you went too close to the sun, you got burned. So you had to revolve around him, and to be his children didn't mean that you couldn't get burned. So the thing is that her strength and her courage, she survived. Sister survived.
And who do you think would be like a good audience to read about Romola and her story?
A lot of people who love that type of era, the people who love the old 42nd Street, where it was just a crazy, decadent environment. It was just crooked everywhere. There was drugs. There was robbings, there were sex clubs, there were constantly a lot of these places that were not for everyone. It was just a very strange environment. Once you intercepted one of these people, you felt that you were on the next level. Like this is not your normal person. These people are out to get you. These people are out to do something wrong, steal your money mostly. And this is the kind of environment the 42nd Street was. It was a very dangerous, scabby kind of environment. And this is where men used to come to relieve themselves for lunch. Marty created the booths to individualize that kind of interaction between the video or the live actors that were doing the scenes. He created that kind of personal effect, almost like what we have now, the telephone, watching things through the phone, individually. He created that in that time, that kind of interaction where mostly men would interact in that kind of way.
And what would be one last thing you would want to say to Romola? Congratulations.
Romola, congratulations. Romola, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I can't believe that you wrote this, but I understand all the pain and suffering you've gone through because you've spoken to me about it and I understand. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you're successful. Much love. Much love.
We live in a very posh estate on the North Fork. Oh, beautiful cottages right by the beach. Romola is a great swimmer. She's in a gated community, so protective. We have Dan as our security guard. He's right behind us. What else goes on there? She had a lovely party 12 years ago. No, maybe 10 years ago for the children.
She had a dance party.
A dance party. Dance Party USA. What?
She really likes the little ones.
Oh, she loves all of our children. Melody loves my boob.
She's always been so kind to us. Kind to the little ones.
So kind. She's such. Oh, and she has the cutest dog. What's his name? What's his name? Arton. Artine. I call him
What
Arton.
would you say are some lessons you could learn from her story?
Some lessons?
Yeah.
Oh.
What was the question?
That's a tricky question because, you know,
What was the question?
What lessons?
what lessons can you learn from her story? So I didn't read the book yet, so I'm not familiar with the entire story just yet. But a lesson from Romola is just kindness. She's a very kind woman. She's very welcoming. She's always very sweet to everyone. She never says anything bad about any of us, I hope. What else?
Everyone has a story.
Everyone has a story.
Understanding. Ramona had a lot of understanding and a lot of patience for diversity.
Because it's so diverse in our gated community.
Absolutely.
Who do you think would be like the best kinds of people to read her book? Like
Everyone. Yeah.
Can you say it in a full sentence?
Oh,
You cut out my-
no, so I think everyone should read the book. I think it's a great book to put out there, especially in New York City, because New York City is so diverse. And this is life. I mean, sex is life, right?
But it's not all about sex.
I know,
It's
but
about overcoming.
it is.
It's about life. You know, not everybody has the perfect life. It's about overcoming. She did not have a perfect life.
Oh, she read the book.
Matter of fact, she grew up. She had
Which one I saw?
Yeah, I'm like, turn it. She read the book. I didn't get a chance to yet. I know.
Romola had a terrible childhood. So unless you knew her, and before, you know, sometimes people knew her and didn't even know the life that she lived. You know, she was not free to like tell everybody the life she lived. So not even knowing her, and like you may have thought of you knew her and didn't really know her. But then when you read her book and then you really knew her, the obstacles she overcome in her life, you realize everybody can overcome like these obstacles in life. So you can overcome it too. You just have to you know, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you too can come, go past this stuff. You know, you can, it's for everybody. So you can overcome it all. So it is for everybody. So anybody should read it because you can believe in yourself. That's what it's about. It's about believing in yourself and knowing that you can go from rags to riches, or you can overcome life. You can overcome the worst in life, and you can make yourself better.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to say?
Amazing. She read the book.
Yeah.
Okay, hi. So my name is Rivka Markel, and I met Romola a couple of months ago because we are in a similar program, in a coaching program. So how to write a book, how to publish a book. And I think Romola has such a great story, and it's like whenever she starts talking about her book and what her life was and how she came to the book and how she got to it, it's like as if the lights go on. She's so passionate about it, and that's why I'm here today, because I want to know more about it. I want to read the book. She told me so much about it, so now I'm ready to read that book. I want to read what's in there because she made me so curious, and that's why I'm here.
what do you think is like the takeaways from Romola's story? Like, what do you think are some of the lessons you can learn from?
I think one of the lessons is if you look at Romola, then you see how whatever happened in her life, how it like built her, how it made her to the person she is today, and it didn't kill her, which is like a miracle. It didn't break her, which is also a miracle. It made her stronger, and it made her like into an example. Like so many people, they are blaming their past of who they are today, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can be like, anything can happen to you. It's all about what you choose to do with it. And I think Romola is the example, like what you want to do with how your parents raised you or how your childhood was. It doesn't really mean anything. It only becomes something when you make something out of it. And she turned that into something positive, and I think that's a great lesson.
Thanks.
Okay.
Right,
would that be better? I'll look at you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to look back and forth. And just keep looking.
Okay. What a great night. I absolutely loved the reading that Romola gave tonight. Romola and I go back a long ways, and it just kicked up so many memories to me also with her dad, and knowing Marty a little bit, and knowing what an egomaniac he was, and hearing this other side that we never talked about when we were children. Romola and I go back to about when we were 13 years old, and we never talked about what Marty did or the pain that he caused her. She was very good at hiding it. And to see this new side of her has been like really eye-opening. I can't wait to read the rest of the book. So it's been a great night. It's so good to be here. And
Thank you.
So I'm so glad to have published The Princess of 42nd Street by Romola Hodes. It's a very unique book telling the side of a story that never gets told, the daughter of someone who was really the king of porn in the 70s and how it affected a child, a family, and how, in spite of all of that, she loved her family so much and forgave her dad and can look back on this time and give us a cultural commentary. It also ties into the TV show HBO's The Deuce, which is running now, and it's a wonderful sort of side piece to this look back on a time and a place from a different perspective.
I want her to talk and me to talk. Can we?
Yeah, maybe put it. Yeah.
Can we go like this?
Yeah, if you go to like.
We'll put it between us, like this.
All right.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this is Pam, and she had a great store on 7th Avenue and 17th Street. She sold this really great vintage jewelry. Vintage jewelry, and I worked there for a little while, and it was great. What can you say? You're working in Manhattan in a jewelry store. It was great.
And Romola and I have had many good times.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we hooked up again.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you're doing this.
Thank you.
I am
Thank
so
you.
happy for you.
Me too. It's been a long time.
She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. I'm so happy for her. I'm so happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That's enough.
I was beaten by my parents, routinely humiliated, observed porn stars having sex in our backyard swimming pool, befriended strippers who worked for my father, and watched a topless waitress breastfeed a kitten during one of my parents' parties. And I thought my sister Risa didn't see it, but she says, "Don't you remember it was a black one?" No, I don't remember that. Where are you, Reese? I'm here. Oh, I thought maybe you were out with a guy or something. My story certainly has square the story of how Marty Hodes, a scrappy Jewish kid from Brooklyn, parlayed a couple of gumball machines into a multi-million-dollar adult entertainment empire. It is also the story of a lifelong struggle to overcome an abusive childhood and build a healthy adulthood from the wreckage of a shattered past. It is all these things, but mostly The Princess of 42nd Street is a story about forgiveness. My father gave me much to forgive, as did my mother. I love them both, and I have forgiven them both, not only for their sake, but also for my own. I forgave them so I could be free, and I share this story with you in the spirit of forgiveness. So, Daddy, what do you think? Are you proud of your little girl now? Okay, prologue. The porno king of 42nd Street expands his empire, 1972. Romola, come see me this afternoon. I want to show you something. At the theater across from my office. My dad slouches beside the kitchen sink, a stocky, sloppy figure clad in garish polyester guzzling orange juice. Right? I almost choked on my cornflakes. Seriously? Dad wants me to visit him at work? What the hell for? Visits to Dad's office are unpleasant, but happily they are also rare. I would do just about anything to avoid going to see my dad, Marty Hodis, Times Square's king of porn at work. Once we were in his office, talking, just an ordinary conversation, when suddenly I heard a rustling noise from underneath his desk. He never paused, never stopped speaking, as first the young bleached blonde head, followed by the scantily clad body of a young woman, popped up from between his knees. She stood and walked around from behind his desk, wiping her mouth with her hand, not even acknowledging me as she left the room. I suppose he had been interviewing her for a position as one of his girls, while simultaneously getting a blowjob. That was my dad, a true multitasker. Free more catcalls, lewd comments, and 1,000-yard stares from seemingly every man I passed. Catching my reflection in dusty storefront windows, I realized they must see me as fresh meat with my long ash blonde hair parted down the middle and blown straight and smooth. My fair skin and my blue-gray eyes. I'm 5'3" and curvy, always curvy. Dressed in the hippie chic style of the day that only rich girls can afford, with bell-bottom jeans, a beaded peasant top, hoop earrings, necklace, bangles, and rings. Nonetheless, I make sure these guys clearly read my body language, which states, do not, I repeat, do not mess with me. Dad's business, one of a dozen or so he owns, is East Coast Cinematics, Inc., situated on the 4th floor of a nondescript building located at 247 West 42nd Street. Across the street is an old, abandoned off-Broadway theater which matches the address on the scrap of paper Dad handed me at breakfast. I cross 42nd Street and enter the rundown theater, which is hot and stuffy and smells heavily of grease paint, damp fabric, and mold. Taking a deep breath, I climb the creaky wooden staircase to the 2nd floor. There, Dad, whose face lights up when he catches my eye, greets me. Romola, just wait till you see this. Sitting on a high stool besides Dad and taking money is Rizzo, the cameraman who I later found out filmed some of Dad's porn movies. Rizzo is a pasty, shriveled guy of about 50 with a sunken chest, a greasy comb over, and a few mostly rotting teeth. Rizzo sees me and leers, smiling his gaping hollow grin. My stomach churns and I feel queasy. Dad opens the door and shoves me inside with his parting words. Romola, I'm going to make a shitload of money with this. Blinking quickly to clear my vision, I step deeper into the humid, dank, musty-smelling theater. There's a simple, raised wooden stage framed by heavy red velvet curtains layered with dust. In front of the stage, the seating area consists of red velvet upholstered chairs, arranged in a semicircle with about 20 aisles of seats. About half the seats are filled, mostly with middle-aged white men with money, men with nice haircuts and expensive clothes. Alongside them are members of the greasy trench coat brigade. The dirty old men you might expect to find here. Mercifully, I don't recognize any of these guys from behind, and no one turns to look at me. I quickly take a seat at the end of the aisle and one of the back rows, as far from the men as possible. A moment later, the lights go down, the stage's front curtains rattle open, and a long metal chain drops from the ceiling, clinking, clanking, link over link, and sways slowly, suspended over the center of the stage. Attached to the bottom of the chain is some kind of harness made of belts and chains and buckles. The entire audience holds its breath. No one speaks. No one moves. Anticipation fills the air. Suddenly, a young woman, crouched on hands and knees, crawls out from behind the back curtain towards center stage. Her long, glossy hair tumbles forward over her shoulders as she slinks across the wooden platform, boldly, stealthily, like a cougar stalking her prey. She's dressed in a tight black leather corset, thigh-high black leather boots with stiletto heels. Her mouth is stopped with a bright red ball on straps right behind her head. A man's voice begins narrating the show from fuzzy speakers. Suddenly, a huge hulking man emerged from behind the back curtain and strides towards the woman on stage. He's dressed head to toe in one-piece black leather bodysuit that covers him completely, with only holes for his eyes, nose, and round circle for his mouth. His biceps bulge, and he carries a long, thin leather whip. When he reaches the woman on all fours, he raises the whip high in the air, pauses, then brings it down hard and fast, slashing her across the back with a loud crack. I wince, feeling her pain. Tossing the whip aside, he grabs a harness with one hand and throttles the woman with the other. Just thinking of something. Oh my God, I think. He's going to force her into the harness. Oh my God, I'm sick, I can't breathe, I'm suffocating, I have to get out of here. Cut to black. All is silent. I am blissfully free. I come to when the show is over. The stage is bare, and the men in the audience cough, fidget, and zip up their flies. Some get up to leave and shuffle past me up the aisle, heads down, not making contact. What the hell just happened? I didn't faint. I'm still sitting in my seat, just as I was when the show started. I must have blacked out, my mind going dark while my body remained upright. As the final men leave, I stand and sway, grabbing a chair to steady myself. My stomach roils and my legs quiver like wet noodles. I turn to see Dad, holding court beside the door, bidding his patrons goodbye, accepting handshakes and congratulations and pats on the back like just won some fantastic prize. Dad's business empire has progressed steadily from gumball, jukebox, and cigarette and vending machine concessions to peep shows to pornographic movies. But this represents a brand new venture for him. A live S&M sex act, performed on stage before a captive audience. He's right, this is going to make him a fortune. He sees me and a huge smile spreads across his broad face as he beams with pride. What the hell am I going to say to him? When I reach his side, I slap him awkwardly on the back and pretend to punch his shoulder. Well, congratulations, Dad. I'm so proud of you. My voice shakes. You were right. You're going to make a shitload of money with this. He rubs his pudgy hands, delighted, as his brown eyes dance. I know, Romola, I know. He shakes his head. And this is just the beginning. There's no end to how far I can take this. My skin crawls and I'm desperate to get out of there. Right. I say, well, good luck with that, Dad. See you later. I hurry down the narrow staircase, through the door, and back out to 42nd Street, where at last I can breathe again. I gulp down air in huge lungfuls as I try to clear my head. Daddy is sick, I tell myself. That's it. He's just sick. He doesn't fucking get it. He doesn't even know how inappropriate it is to show this to a 15-year-old daughter. The man doesn't have a clue. Time would prove Dad right. His live sex shows became a huge hit with the porno-hungry public and served as another step in his rise from humble beginnings as a child selling magazines and shining shoes to the head of an adult entertainment empire, worth a reported $13 million. For Dad, this day was a triumph, but for me, it was just another summer better looking brother. And then his wife, who I taught to put on makeup. And this is Carlos, who helped me in my life.
It's in the book.
Yeah, this is Michael, who if it wasn't for him, I never would have started writing. That's Michael. That's my sister, who has been through everything that we've been through. She's talking about you, Reese. That's our cousins, Risa, that's fine. Right. So anyway, and there's the crew from out in Long Island. And there's Hannah. The first time Hannah met me, I was having sex with your brother. told my sister not to buy all these cookies, but she did. And let me see. Anybody else? All right, I'm finished.